started taking 3 at a time, and then I was taking 4 at a time, and then I started taking
I became addicted that day.
When you're getting high, it's not just a drug.
You're hooked.
$500 going to
And she was a convicted felon at the age of 18.
I had maggots in my leg.
Turned to prostitution.
Stealing from my family.
Married, mother of 3, and I'm
They're gonna
stripping.
take you to hell and back.
It's not just a little pill.
Takes control of you.
You can't go back and say I'm
And
sorry.
it will win.
It will get you.
Her sister found her.
Died in her sleep.
My daughter.
She's dead.
The drug trade is a global illicit trade involving the cultivation, manufacture, distribution, and sale of substances which are subject to drug prohibition laws. 60% of people who use illegal drugs are 15 to 24 years old. The most common street drugs in North America include fentanyl, cocaine, marijuana, and methamphetamine.
Cocaine is a powerfully addictive stimulant drug. Cocaine causes constricted blood vessels, dilated pupils, and increased body temperature. Some of the most frequent are cardiovascular effects, including disturbances in heart rate, heart attacks, neurological effects like headaches, seizures, strokes, and comas. Methamphetamine, like cocaine, is a powerful, highly addictive stimulant that affects the central nervous system. This causes the heart to beat faster and the blood pressure to rise. Long-term effects of meth include significant anxiety, confusion, insomnia, mood disturbances, and violent behavior. Illegal fentanyl has made its way into the drug supply, and it's a danger that you may not see coming. Synthetic opioids up to 50 times stronger than heroin and up to 100 times stronger than morphine. It only takes a little to lose a lot. A fraction of a raindrop or 3 grains of salt is all that it takes. You wouldn't be able to see it or smell it or taste it. Fentanyl is one of the most common drugs involved in overdose deaths. Short-term effects include relaxation, pain relief, sedation, confusion, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting.
Worldwide, the drug trade's worth has reached as high as $652 billion. Of that total, the United States is responsible for $150 billion. Drug trafficking, which is considered 3 kilograms or more, is estimated to be worth $32 billion according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The worldwide dollar value of illegal drugs is second only to the amount spent on the arms trade. Since 1971, the United States government has spent over $1 trillion on its war against drugs.
America's public enemy number 1 in the United States is drug abuse.
The UNODC states that the production, trafficking, and sales of illicit drugs is a $400 billion a year industry. To try and combat the drug trade, the United States puts resources towards enforcement, whereas Canada puts their money towards treatment. Now, why should you care about money in the drug trade? Well, North America spends a ridiculous amount of money on the drug trade. The reason they spend so much money is because people keep buying and dying. People are supporting the drug trade on a daily basis, whether that's behind the scenes or simply at a party where drugs are present.
The legal effects of the global drug trade. Right now, alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, prescription-grade narcotics, over-the-counter medications, psychiatric medications, all drugs are legalized and regulated. The maximum imprisonment is life in prison, which is 25 years, for trafficking of drugs listed in Schedule 1 and/or 2. Schedule 3 drugs require a prescription or license. The maximum sentence is 3 years for possession and 10 years for trafficking. Schedule 4 drugs include a maximum of 3 years in prison.
Here is what a local paramedic from Saskatoon has to say about overdoses. What are the most common drugs you see being used?
Lots of opiates are being used right now. Lots of meth. People have kind of steered away from cocaine nowadays.
How many overdoses do you see in a week?
So for us, we do 5-day tours at a time, and it's 2 days, 3 nights, or 3 days, 2 nights. My truck personally, there's about 13 trucks on a day. My truck personally could sometimes see 0, or we could see 7, but I'd say on an average of 2 to 3 a day.
Out of those overdoses, how many are fatal?
Depends when we get there. If we get there in time, or if the patient has a Narcan kit or their friend has a Narcan kit. A lot of the times we're able to revive them from that, but sometimes they'll be down too long and have suffered brain damage and will lose them. Another thing too is there's a new drug out called xylazine, and what it does is it doesn't work with Narcan, essentially. So it doesn't matter what we give. It's called a polypharm overdose. So then we'll have to do a bunch of other interventions to make it work. But I'd say there's a decent handful that's probably fatal, yeah.
What age range is most common to see with drug use?
That's a hard question. It's kind of all over the place, to be honest. I've seen kids as young as, the other day I did a 13-year-old boy that overdosed. And then the other day I've done a 65-year-old man that overdosed. It's honestly all across the board. I wouldn't say that there's a certain age.
It only takes a little to lose a lot.
Harmful substances not only have devastating effects on the user, but they also affect their loved ones too. Drugs rip and tear families apart. Studies show that roughly 90% of addictions develop during adolescence.
You try to imagine living your life without one of your children. You just can't.
Not a day goes by that I don't think of them. I miss them. I just miss them a lot.
This is Parker Rodenbaugh.
All different names.
Peyton Presley Moore.
All
19 years old.
different ages.
He was 35 years old.
My daughter Haniska went out with her friends and took cocaine. 7 hours later, she was dead.
My name is Marie Adjarides. I am from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Kelly was 19, and it was January 3rd of 2015. We don't want to talk about our kids using drugs because your kid, my child, your grandchildren, they wouldn't use drugs because you raised them better. We'll tell that to all the parents that have buried their kids. Don't believe that it can't happen to you. You need to be responsible to the people you love by ensuring that if you are using drugs, you're doing everything you can to keep yourself safe and alive. Your mom doesn't want to go through what I've gone through. Trust me.